I couldn't help but notice your pain.
My pain?
It runs deep. Share it with me.
Hello, friend, and welcome to Picast 2.9.
Nearly there.
I'll be nearly there. Yeah. Thankfully. Tonight we're covering the episode Hide and Seek, which comes with a content warning on suicide. Pretty grim it is too. But anyway, let's get stuck in.
If the Queen means to take over the ship, we have to defend it, no matter the cost.
Defend it with what? Oh.
That's all you brought?
Lucky we even have time to get these. All right, we recon. We fortify our position. We set traps with whatever's available.
Okay, but how much time do we even have?
None. Go hide back there.
Come on.
Is she coming?
She's already on the ship. And there's more. Lots more.
So there's storming into not La Serena. What are we calling the ship? Or are they
It doesn't really have a name, but they keep calling it La Serena, even though it isn't. So, yeah.
And it's Jurati and the mercenaries remotely activating the transporter. And then Jurati takes tech from the dead queen, which turns her dress black.
Yes, she gets converted into first contact style Jurati, I suppose. Yeah. Apparently, the Borg Queen has a uniform. Who knew?
So Rios takes Ramirez and her son out to the vineyard where Laris has weapons.
Chunky-looking things. Yes.
So as a teaser goes, I mean, it's pretty dramatic, isn't it? All of them appearing and whatever, but it's not exactly unexpected, is it?
No, and as with most of this episode, it does suffer from being very dark. It was practically impossible when I was watching it early on the computer to try and take some screenshots to see what the heck was going on. And I hadn't clocked just how dark this all is. Madness.
Darkness! No parents! Continue darkness! More darkness, get it?
But Jurati can't interface with the computer. So Agnes confronts the Queen and says the Borg were never about perfection. She was just lonely, so lonely.
Yeah.
And it's just like, really? And so Agnes has put a fractal lock on the thingies, but she didn't memorise the code because she knew the Queen would go for that. So she put it in the ECH, which is Elnor, just to give the actor something to do. Basically,
yes.
Because all the other fucking holograms are Rios, aren't they?
They are, yes.
Yeah.
Some who have an Elnor one for no good reason. With one of those holo emitters that the Doctor from Voyager had.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that on the Rios ones, even though one of them was a fighty one, wasn't it? So, oh well.
Then you're more bollocks with the boy Picard, and this time round I noticed one of the things that had already been pissing me off, but I hadn't quite been able to put my finger on it. Where's his fucking brother?
Oh, they do say right at the beginning, or one of the first scenes in the past in a previous episode, that he's away at boarding school or some such. So they did explain that one away. So, what got me was young Picard saying,
"This isn't fun anymore,"
which I think sums up the series.
Yeah, and basically it involves a lot of playing hide and seek. You get a lot of flash betweens where Picard is using his memories of playing hide and seek with his mum to work out where to go in the fuck off massive unnecessarily big house.
The chateau sets look so cheap as well. I don't know if that's why they tried to film it so dark to cover it up, but really they look...
Looks like the fucking medieval zone of the Crystal Maze.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, high def does not do it any favours at all.
No. So then Picard beams Rios, Ramirez and her son to safety. Rios has been injured. He's cross because he wants to help. And then Seven comes up with the idea of splitting up. Picard says, "Do it!"
He should have said, "Make it so."
And then fucking Soong is there trying to negotiate, saying, I've got an offer for you. And it's just like, and it's just more fucking pointless padding in a battlefield where there should be a fucking battle, not fucking Soong. Are you taking over yet, or have I got to carry on with this shit?
I take over when he finds his way into the cellars. But I'm sure we're not missing anything if I just carry on at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, but it's just so fucking... I mean, there's some action scenes and some fighting, but they're not a lot to talk about, are they, really?
Not really.
No.
And
Right, you carry on
and
then,
some of
that's
it's rather
sorted.
silly, as we'll come to. Young Jean-Luc finds his mum, who gives him a science lesson about stars and compares herself to a dying star. And she's locked in a room by Boltar Picard. Raffi and Seven improbably get to the ship. Seriously, there are loads of Borg out there with automatic weapons, and the women got through with a knife and a corkscrew. I mean, I know Seven's supposed to be badass and everything, but even so, that just stretched credulity. Raffi offloads to the holographic Elnor, who somehow has his namesake's final memories. I mean, that's more magic than blooming Star Trek 3, isn't it? I mean, that's just naff.
Yeah.
How did he get that? He's a computer simulation. How did he get Elnor's memories, for heaven's sake? From his final moments...
He says it was from the biobed, as though somehow that's magic.
Oh, it magically absorbed his final thoughts, did it? Yeah. They managed to beam all the Borg off the ship except for the Queen, who has an inhibitor handily. And tentacles, yes, which she attacks Seven in the stomach. So I wonder if she doesn't use those tentacles more often. But again, they're generally sort of just when the plot requires them. Agnes stops her from finishing Seven and Raffi off, thanks to sadness endorphins or something.
Oh, fuck. Oh,
Really? They're just pulling this stuff from their ass, surely.
I think they've run out of stuff of their own arses. I think they're pulling stuff out the arses of corpses.
Oh, I was going to just say hired asses specifically to pull things out of, but you just had to go that bit worse. Okay.
I would, wouldn't I?
Yeah, you would. Then she talks the Borg into becoming a force for good,
God.
thus finishing the task of neutering what were interesting baddies before Voyager got hold of them. And here Picard just stamps over the embers.
Maybe it's got that many Voyager connections that making the Borg rubbish has to be one of them.
Apparently. Wow, very underwhelming. Soon catches up with Picard. In another future, we might have become friends, he very originally says.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Seriously, did they have a bingo score sheet of cliches they had to work their way through? Rios beams in to help and soon attempts to use a phaser with a lawgiver-style palm print. So not that from Judge Dredd. I suppose it's better than nicking stuff from the Muppets, though.
Yes.
The Queen,
Voyager.
The Queen heals Seven, but that somehow leaves her with the exact same implants she had before, which doesn't make any sense.
No.
I mean, I can understand her ending up with some implants,
Yeah.
maybe, but the exact ones she had before? No. Turns out Picard's mum hanged herself because Picard unlocked the room Boltar had shut her in. Not sure why this plot was included other than to give Picard some mysterious angst, and it's just unpleasant and,
It is nasty.
and very unsubtly filmed, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Swinging bodies don't need to see, really, do we?
No.
Oy, oy, oy.
And they also, as though that's all somehow his motivation, they've just fridged Picard's mum, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. Queen takes off in Rios' ship, having given a cryptic clue about the last episode to do with Renée Picard. Oh, joys, she's back. And the goodies head off to save the day. Hurrah! No, wait, the other thing. I mean, the conversion of the Borg is rubbish. Well done, you've really totally neutered them now. Solving, as you say, the mystery of Picard's angst goes nowhere. Just feels like it's, again, just filling time. And the plot feels lightweight as every problem is solved too easily.
Yeah.
And there's no sense of jeopardy to things. To say, Seven and Raffi being able to get through all those Borg so easily. What are the Borg these days? Nothing, are they? God.
They're playing the game on easy mode.
Definitely, yes.
But, and the thing with Picard's mum is just, it's unnecessarily horrific. Anyway, but also we know what Picard's motivation was from Next Gen. It was a positive motivation. That was the whole part of the whole ethos and premise of Star Trek.
Yeah.
It was a positive motivation to go and seek
Let's
out
see
new
what's out
life and new civilizations. It wasn't, let's fridge Picard's mum and that's why he's in the stars. That is just ruining Star Trek. That's just, no, that's bollocks.
Well, I wouldn't say it's ruining Star Trek, which other people have said as well. You're not alone in saying that, by the way. It was a clip that Lee had put up on the Facebook page. But with two people talking about that. I mean, it doesn't ruin Star Trek for me. It does rather mess up Picard, though, it has to be said. And, you know, when we go back to Next Generation, we're just going to have to pretend this didn't happen, I think.
I think I'm planning on pretending this didn't happen.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I think this would be the first series of Trek since Enterprise that I won't be rushing out to buy or won't be buying at all.
Yeah.
Because I can't see me ever wanting to rewatch it, really. Unless the last episode is so unbelievably amazing. But
no, too much of it is wrong and fucked up. It's not possible. It might be possible.
Seriously, even if the last episode was 60 minutes of ready room clips, I'd still not buy it, I don't think.
No, because it's possible that the last episode might redeem Picard as a multi-part series and make me want to watch series 3.
Yeah, that's the best we can hope for.
That is a possibility. Nothing can redeem series 2. It's not just that I don't like it. It's actually actively offensive.
Yes. And, you know, I'm not doing the crazy thing, oh, well, this isn't canon and blah, blah, blah. No, you know, it's clearly canon. It's made by the same people who are making all other Trek. If you don't like it, you just have to live with that, I'm afraid. But the way you live with it is, it may be canon, but I'm not going to watch it again.
Yeah, never watch it again. No. And also, you know, in the way I work it is that with headcanon, you've got your own stuff you've made up. Well, I also work on the basis that headcanon, as long as you don't claim it's real canon, as long as you still say it's headcanon, excludes things.
Right.
So my headcanon is going to be excluding Series 2 of Picard.
Yes. Well, let's find out what other people thought, whether they thought things had improved.
I don't think Mark Berryman did. He starts off with it's all just nonsense. I will skip talking about mental health issues with Picard as there are infinitely more qualified people, but wow, and for a supposedly progressive show in Star Trek, Picard is incredibly regressive. I made a joke about the writers of being pro things like homelessness and the like. Given the regressive attitudes here, I'm no longer sure it's a joke. I can now sum up the entirety of this show with a single character. We have a time travel plot involving 7 of 9. We keep reusing actors for no real reason. Now we have Jay Carnes, who played the 29th century Starfleet officer in Voyager's Relativity.
Yeah, that's your man from the Muppets in Space.
Oh, right. Yeah. With 7 and 9. And here we use the same actor as discount store brand Fox Mulder, who was vanished from the show 1 episode later. Nonsense, utter nonsense. Given that Picard has stretched 2 episodes worth of TNG over a season, not once but twice. You have a bad episode of a series like Move Along Home. It's 1 bad episode out of 20. You stretch a bad episode over a season, and that 1 bad episode is 1 bad season.
Yeah.
You make 2 bad episodes, 2 bad seasons, and that's Picard. Proof positive. Not every show needs to be an ongoing narrative. I am still laughing at the show, but now it's sad laughter. How we waste such great talent with bad scripts and worse ideas. I understand why they put the advert of season 3, because they realised they dropped the ball. Bad. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the suspicion, really, with that, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, it's interesting that some of the official Trek Twitter feeds and Facebook pages and whatnots are doing their best to sort of say, oh, no, this is perfectly fine and good. And it's like, really? I mean, if you are enjoying it, great. But, wow. Your bar for quality is pretty low.
Yeah.
Because, you know, just from a technical standpoint, the writing is clearly bad.
Yeah.
I mean, what they're doing with events is one thing, and you can either it's pulling your strings or not, but ultimately the way this thing is constructed is bad. It's clear that they had, you know, it was announced that we're going to have a season that was going to be, how long has this been? I lose track, 10 episodes long. And they thought, right, how are we going to fill out 10 episodes? And then just made it up as they went along rather than planning something out. You compare that with Moon Knight, which is just finished on Disney+.
That's brilliant. Love that.
I mean, yes, it's only 5 episodes long. And
6.
Was it? 6, yes. And I suspect actually had Picard, this season of Picard being 5 episodes long, it might not have felt so bad. We
would have had less padding, but
exactly.
It still would have had other things wrong with it.
It probably still would have felt a bit weak, but it wouldn't have felt as weak as this has. But I mean, Moon Knight's just fantastic. It's got character progression. The plot makes logical sense. There's no padding at all. You know, every scene moves the story along and makes sense. So well done, Disney. Not so well done. I keep calling it Paramount. Is it still Paramount these days?
Yeah,
CBS? I don't know.
Strange New Worlds is coming to Paramount Plus on the UK in June.
Still. In June, you say?
22nd of June.
But we don't have Paramount Plus. How's that?
It's launching as a channel.
Oh, I see.
For
So
$6.99 a month. So what we need to do is wait until every single episode of Strange New Worlds has dropped, subscribe for 1 month, binge the fuck out of it, and then go from there.
Well, they're not going to do it week by week, are they, if it's already been out? I don't know.
Well, they might, because they did with Discovery and with Picard as it's come out. Because although this season has come out at a similar time to in the US, the first season of Picard came out much later.
The only reason I would shell out for that, I think, was but we already know that Lower Decks is coming to Prime. Because that's what I'm really looking forward to. I mean, Strange New Worlds might be good, don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure it's going to be £6 a month good, is it? I don't know.
Well, also, we have done seasons 1 to 3 of Discovery, and season 4 of Discovery will be on
that. That's true. All right, well, I won't make any snap judgments on that, but the downside is actually yet another streaming service, isn't it? And
well, that's why I was thinking of, for one or, for a short period of time.
If Lower Decks was only going to be showing on Paramount Plus, they've missed a trick there, because then I would have said, okay, scrap Netflix, we're barely watching anything on Netflix. We'll subscribe to Paramount Plus instead, which would make a lot more sense. But anyway, that's our viewing habits discussed live on air. Wonderful.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying we should consider it, but not. But like you said, dropping something else instead, like Netflix.
Yeah, that's the obvious one, isn't it?
It is a bit.
Although that will annoy our child too, because they watch an awful lot of the real crime stuff on there. Anyways, we can always dock their pocket money.
Or just say it's...
You're on Netflix, you're paying.
Or just say it's only for a few months. What did the Llama God make of this?
Llama God's log, Scott date, Ficus ya, Coeg ya. Call it extreme if you like, but I propose we hit the Borg Queen hard and fast with a major, and I mean major leaflet campaign. And whilst it's reeling from that, we'd follow with a whist driver, covered sail, and possibly even some benefit concerts. Now, I've got to say, in the last week, I've seen a good episode of TV that dealt sensibly with mental health issues, and a good episode of TV that gave an emotional payoff with a character that everyone was rooting for, following a long-running contest and battle of wills and skills. And those were indeed episodes of Moon Knight and MasterChef Junior Australia. Picard, unfortunately, doesn't even come close to either of those, and it's so annoying and frustrating because there are germs of ideas, there is something here, there is a story here that could be told, that is possibly worth being told, but they are not telling it. The most annoying thing about this episode of Picard was, of course, the revelation that Picard's mum killed herself, and it was all his fault for letting her out of her room when she was unwell. Now, obviously, it's not his fault, he was just a boy, but this was exactly what we were hoping we wouldn't find out. I was hoping that it wasn't going to be the case that one of his major motivational factors of his life was the essential fridging of his mother, basically. It was her death that gave him all the man pain that we never really knew that he had, or indeed needed as a character. Up until this point, it had been sufficient that Jean-Luc Picard was just someone who was intelligent, curious, and driven, and that was all that we really needed. We didn't need to have his mother killed off just to provide him some painful motivation. It's incredibly lazy and insensitive, and not particularly good way of dealing with these issues. And yes, this sort of thing does happen. Yes, it affects people, and it will affect them differently, and that would be fine and a worthy thing to explore if the story was going to be about how a character deals with and moves past that. But it's not. This is something that Picard has hidden in his past, and it's just being unearthed now because of what? Just to give him something to do? Yes, the series is called Picard. It's about Picard, but this is a bit of backstory that he just didn't need, and it's unnecessary and insulting and disrespectful, really. So yeah, I'm very annoyed with that. But it's also annoying because there's some good stuff in this episode. The resolution of the Borg Queen Jurati storyline is actually really good. I liked this. I liked what they were going for with this. I liked the idea that finally someone with the same intellect and talent and skill came up against a Borg Queen. She met her intellectual match, basically. But instead of trying to defeat the Queen or vanquish her, Jurati provides a more balanced approach and shows the Queen how she could use her powers for good. And yeah, it's moralizing, maybe a bit sickening, who knows. But this is Star Trek, isn't it? This is Star Trek. This is showing someone, even an enemy, a different point of view, a better point of view, and showing them that a better world is possible. And yeah, that's exactly the sort of thing Star Trek could be doing. But it's just not doing it very well, and it's so frustrating. If they could focus on just one of these storylines and give it the space it needed to breathe, it would be fine, but they're just trying to jam so much. I mean, we had to have Adam Soon come back, of course we did. We had to have Brent Spiner showing up to show us that he can play a bad 80s action movie villain for whatever reason. Why do we need to see that? I don't know. And it's just, yeah, it gives some action, but it's just unnecessary, and it feels so unsatisfying. It's so unfocused. What was really notable for me was that just having watched this episode of Picard, I happened to watch Star Trek for The Voyage Home. I haven't watched it for a little while, and I was curious to see how it would actually compare with Picard. And yeah, again, in Picard here, they're retreading a lot of what The Voyage Home did, but The Voyage Home, again, is just one film, an hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it was. But it's streamlined, it's focused, they have a mission, they have a thing to do, and they go and do it. And yeah, they split up into a couple of teams, but, you know, everyone is focused, on point, they get their jobs done. It's entertaining, and it's fun, and that's exactly the sort of thing that we should be doing here. We shouldn't be going from, we need to save the future, we need to save a person, we've encountered yet another Soong who's got a daughter who's a clone, and then Q's a cyber hacker who's gonna... It's just, there's too much. There's too much going on. And yeah, it's really, really frustrating. And one of the other mistakes this episode made is bringing Elnor back, but not. They bring him back as a hologram. It's a shame that he doesn't have a big H on his forehead, really. But yeah, so this is how we get him back into the series, because La Serena now apparently has the ability to remember people's complete memories and personalities. Yeah, okay, that was handy. I mean, okay, so he has flown off with the Borg Queen now, but maybe they left his light bee behind or something, and he can tag along with a cat, and I don't quite think they'll go in the Red Dwarf direction, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows? So, yeah, there's one episode to go. Thank gods for that. There's one episode. Are they going to stick the landing? Probably as well as the Enterprise D stuck its landing on Viridian 3. Yeah, no, I'm holding out no hopes for this whatsoever. None whatsoever. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be unsatisfactory, and worse, it's probably going to be cliffhangers next week. You know that season 3 is coming, so yeah, I want to like this. I do, but I don't. Sorry. However, what I am looking forward to is hearing what you make of this and what everyone else makes of this. As a wise man once said, it is healing and healthy to share your pain. Yes, I hope everyone is otherwise keeping safe in these continually trying times, and until next time, glory to you and your cast.
I couldn't help but notice your pain.
My pain?
It runs deep. Share it with me.
But I mean, the thing is, this is how bad this shit show is. It makes Star Trek V look like a fucking masterpiece.
What are you talking about? Of course it's a masterpiece. Doesn't require Picard for that, can I?
Well, he liked the Jurati Borg stuff, which we didn't. So somebody liked a bit we didn't.
There you go.
But
it's bound to happen, I think.
Yeah, just Elnor wrong and fridging Picard's mum for absolutely... It was horrible, and one of the reasons it was so horrible is because it was so completely unnecessary.
No need! Yeah.
What did Purry think of this?
Hello, Args. Purry here to talk about hide and seek. Now, before I kick off with what I actually think of the episode, I have a couple of questions. First, how long into this whole process do you think it was before someone said, "Oh no, we saw Picard's mum as an old woman in..." I think it was where no one has gone before, but that one with the Traveller in season 1. Oh, people are going to bring that up. We're going to have to explain this because we just had her commit suicide when she was much younger. Better throw in a line of dialogue about how you imagined her sitting there drinking tea, because that'll be like a reference. I actually don't mind that not being explained. I think they could have got on perfectly well with just ignoring it, and if people brought it up, we can all join the dots and say, yeah, but that was in a weird world where dream came reality. In many ways, seeing his mum as a happy old woman would be something that someone who'd maybe traumatically blamed themselves for their mother's suicide might do. But instead we had to have that line there, and yeah, that one kind of made me go, oh, come on, it's, you're trying to write your way around things that really you don't need to. You don't need to acknowledge literally every tiny bit of continuity. The other thing is, where's Robert? Remember Picard's brother? Grumpy guy, fought him in a vineyard, didn't like him much. Had a son called Renee, I want to say, I don't know. Oh, maybe named after Renee, who knows? But you remember him? Was he? Because they never mentioned he was like a half brother. It was just his brother. So, yeah, where was that guy? Was he working out in the vineyards? I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of when you're wanting to pick up on like a tiny little element from like a couple of minute sequence from a season 1 episode, but not like Picard's brother, who's mentioned in at least 2 episodes. That's and there's like the focus of them. Kind of weird. I've also updated my prediction for the end, and it's not good, lads. I actually reckon that this last episode is just going to be them doing something with Europa mission. Probably have to do something timey-wimey to split 2 timelines, so that the evil timeline does actually exist in some way, shape, or form. Everything will go back to normal, but then that's when we will come to what we saw at the end of episode 1 of this season, and that will lead us into season 3, so I don't think that's getting resolved. Yeah, I think we've done all this and not got it resolved. Basically, I think they've split 1 season's worth of material over 2 seasons. But I suppose I'll have to judge season 3 for that. So this episode, you know what? This one, it was basically a big action sequence, and it was actually pretty well done. I do kind of also object when you've got people running around with laser pointers, and indeed, they were probably lucky that the Borgified mercenaries preferred to shine laser pointers at people than actually shoot half the time, because that seemed to be more what they do, is waggle your laser pointer threateningly. Fnar. And yeah, but the actual fight scenes, it was fairly competently done. You had them running around and shooting. The problem was that every so often they sapped all the life out of the scene by going to have another flashback with Picard and his mum because they've got more of it. And it's really been one of the weakest plot points of the ones that we've been stuck with throughout the whole thing is this Picard's mum issues. And I'm wondering if they actually had this story written and maybe a bit condensed, but someone insisted on doing this story about Picard's mum issues and whatnot, and the issues with her, suicide. And it's just been the plot that's really not worked for me that much in this. I don't think it's had I think they thought it was going to be something with a lot of emotional punch and gravitas, and it's just not had that, because every time we got to these bits, I was like, oh, bloody hell, here it is again, little Picard running through. And I know they're doing the way his young mind saw things, but the problem is we've now seen like that bit of him running into the dungeon and getting his foot stuck 4 or 5 times, and it wasn't good the first time. So yeah, I think this was actually quite a decent episode. And again, the interesting bit, Jurati actually negotiating with the Borg Queen and coming up with this idea of, dare I say, an idea from Star Trek Online, but a Borg cooperative, or the idea of a collective, but it's maybe based, they said they'd prey on the desperate and dying, giving people a second chance at life, but have them volunteer, and maybe that would, because the Borg always get defeated in every timeline, and that's interesting. Sadly, I think that is going to be the setup for the third season. I think that's there'll be the big reveal that Jurati is the Borg Queen, but then at the end of the third season, it will be that'll be third season stuff that we actually deal with any of this, which is a shame. But yeah, so it was better than a lot, but going over time, so all that remains for me to say is do keep up the good work. I also look forward to the podcast, and I will feed back for the end of this series, but until then, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, so the Two Renees, is that going to be the nephew and the Europa? Because his nephew was Renee, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and then if it's the Two Renees, is it good night from him and it's good night from me and good night from him?
Ooh, nice. I guess there's a tune to play out.
Two Renees, yeah.
Anyway. As I said to the producer. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about bringing his mum back is incredibly unsatisfying and annoying, because they bring her back just to fridge her. So the fact that they've tried to cover up the fact that she was old previously, that doesn't matter so much as the fact that the fact that they brought her back at all just to kill her is just...
Yeah.
Really? Have we not moved on from that?
And also, she is alive in season 1. That's the canon.
Well,
that's the continuity.
I got the impression, actually, that she wasn't. That he was seeing his mum who had died, but clearly his mum who had died in old age. Yeah. He wouldn't have been imagining her old if she never got old.
Yeah, exactly. So this never happened.
So, yeah, anyway. But yes, Rob Eyre is indeed at boarding school. That was explained. In a very short throwaway line. But, again and again, they've had to try and cover their butts to try and... Because they've gone to the past. Never a good idea. Really not good. And then spending almost an entire season in the past? That's even worse.
And the thing is, as well, they've done that in a show they'd fucking set in the future.
I know. This was the forward one,
It didn't need to be a fucking prequel.
The irony would be, so Discovery then had to get itself out of a hole by going to the future, and Picard does exactly the opposite.
I'll tell you what, depending on how this ends, I'm not committing to us doing season 3. As a podcast.
Ooh, well, that's a discussion for later on, isn't it? Because, obviously you've got the juicy dangler of the original crew, but if they're just going to mess that up, then it's just going to be even more annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hard to say. It's not coming out for ages, is it? But
no. Otherwise, I'm just saying it now. I'll be taking Andy up on his suggestion. If you say we're definitely covering season 3 of Picard, if I don't like it by episode 2, I'm noping out.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might say, well, let's just do episode 1. But of course, episode 1 of this season was good.
Yeah.
That was the only good episode of the season.
Yeah.
So, I think we'll take it week by week. And if it's quite clear by episode 3 or 4 that it's taken a nosedive, then we'll say, okay, and now we're going back to original Trek. Smooth way.
And I think maybe we just need to set it out there when we record, if we do season 3, when we record the very first episode, we need to set it out straight away. We may not be finishing this.
Yes.
If it's as bad as season 2, we're just dropping it.
Yeah, life's too short.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of which, one more episode of this delightful series to go, and that one is called Farewell. Yeah, it may be a final farewell.
It may well
to Picard.
be. Yeah.
And then we'll talk a bit about there's no point talking about what we thought about the season as a whole, because you know full well what we think about the season as a whole. It's literally just the last episode for us. But if you want to, I know that Andy, for instance, was planning on sending some feedback to let us know what he thought. Yes, he didn't like season 1, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, the good news is that for those of you who like Buck Rogers, and on the 19th, I want to say, yes, we'll be covering the first episode of season 2 of Buck Rogers, which is going to seem amazing, even though I know full well it isn't. Day of the Hawk, Night of the Hawk,
something like that.
Come of the Hawk,
something like that. It's got the Hawk in it.
Yes. Here come the Hawkman. It's one of those, and it's going to be a laugh, I know.
Yeah.
So we look forward to that. And that's on our other feed. And on this feed on Thursday the 26th, it is indeed back to the original series. And one of my favourite episodes, Arena.
Is that where the music
comes
from?
I'm not sure. That might be the introduction to the music. Certainly the music does feature. I can't remember we've had it before. But anyway, it's the Gorn, everybody.
Yay!
Back when it was a rubber lizard that looked naff rather than CGI that looks even naffer.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
So we get the cheese back.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be well and truly lactose intolerant in a few months' time. We obviously won't be covering Stranger New Worlds because we've got no way of watching it at the moment. We'll keep you updated as to our decisions about whether we're going to fork out money for extra streaming services to see it. I mean, everybody's been raving about the first episode that they've seen. But just bear in mind, folks, that the first episode of this season of Picard was good. I'm hoping that the rest of the Stranger Worlds will be great as well. Don't get me wrong, I'm not doomsayer, but just be careful.
Be cautious, yeah. Once bitten, twice shy.
Indeed. Yeah. Right. Well, we'll catch you for the farewells next week. And it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. The artwork for this podcast was created by Andy Palastides.
All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
And we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or borgcastammo. #Borgcast.
Shut it down!